Welcome to episode 119 of the BEBC
BS
Podcast. Hey guys, I got a question for you. How do you make coaches nervous?
Invite their wives.
There you go! We are really excited today because this is a podcast we have been wanting to do for years, and we're finally getting to do it, where we have a Coach's Wives podcast. So ladies, thank you for being here.
Yay!
Joining us today in the hot seat, 4 hot seats actually. You ready?
Yes.
Lindsey Cipoletta, Coach Cip's wife's here with us.
Hello.
Becky Wiginton, Coach Wig's wife is here. We have Brandi Olchak, Coach O's wife here, along with his daughter Alyssa, who made the trip all the way from Arkansas just to be on the podcast.
Just to be on the podcast.
That's awesome. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
Thanks for
bet.
having us.
About time. It's been a while. We have been trying to do this for years, so we're really excited to have you guys. And the reason we wanted to do this was we know, everybody thinks their family's normal, but everybody has a different normal. Oh, you don't think? But we wanted to get a perspective on a coaching family, and who better than to get it from than the people who hold it together. And we know you do, and we're looking forward to digging into a lot of different topics. I got so many things written down, we probably can't get to them, but I do know, psychologists or whoever say, men have 5,000, 10,000 words a day, and women have 30,000. This may be our longest podcast ever. So, y'all,
we're here for it. And if you guys have anything, if you ladies have anything you want to get off your chest, this is an opportunity. I'm serious.
Again,
we can be good listeners.
It's funny what I said to begin, but you would be amazed at how nervous your husbands are about this. We have heard from each one of them.
My son's nervous about this.
Why do you think my dad wanted me to come? He's like, okay, so you're going to tell me, you're going to keep an eye on her, you're going to watch what she says.
Don't be texting him during this.
He thinks. I'm be like, oh no, she was best behavior, nothing you said.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if Coach Wig calls in the middle of saying, hey, how's it going?
It wouldn't be.
It would be funny if he did that. Yeah. Not that we've talked about it or anything, but no, we just wanted to get that viewpoint about a lot of different things, about home life, about living in the coaching bubble, I'll call it, how it is here in Allen compared to other places you've been. There's so many topics we can talk to, but I wanted to start off and let our listeners get a little bit of understanding of who you are. And so I don't know who wants to go first and just, where you're born, hometown, where you grew up, what your background is. Lindsey, you just want to start since you're next to me? I told you you're in the hot seat.
That's okay. I grew up in Sulphur Springs.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. My parents were both in education.
Okay.
My dad was an ag teacher. And
So you can farm.
I can, yes.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm.
There you go.
We had a dairy farm, and we had, you name it, we had it. All animals. I grew up in FFA, showing, sports. So that part of my life was really like the sport coach's wife because my dad was never home, so it's kind of the same. So I get, But went to college close at Texas A&M Commerce and was an ag teacher actually for a few years with my dad.
Wow.
And then was like, okay, I want to go to Little Friends. And then I taught math for about 15 years, 4th grade. And then I'm a PE teacher now.
Awesome. At Norton. Right?
At Norton, yes.
So you're back with the little ones.
Yes, and I love them.
Oh, that's good. That's good that you love them. That's great. So Sulphur Springs is home. East.
Yes.
I say East Texas. I'm not sure if that East Texas.
It's considered East
If you have dairy cows, you're in East.
You're in East Texas. Yes.
Yes. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Becky, how about you?
Yeah. So I grew up in West Texas. I'm from San Angelo. I was born in Odessa.
Bless
but
your heart.
I know, and I feel like I can say that too because I was born there, so I can talk bad about it. No, there's not a lot there. I grew up in San Angelo, though. That's where I graduated high school. And
Central or
Central?
Okay,
Central Bobcats.
Go Angry Orange.
That's right. I'm coming up on a hard to believe 30-year high school reunion. I can't believe I'm that old, but it's here. And then I went to college in Southwest Texas in San Marcos. Now it's Texas State. It's hard for me to say that. It's Texas State. And then got my master's at Tarleton and in counseling. So I'm school counselor for 17 years and then director of counseling for about 6 years. So that's my educational background. And we have 2 kids, 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. Been married 25 years, almost 26. I know.
Excellent.
Awesome.
So long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into talking about that for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
That is a long time. Alyssa, you want to go or you want your mom to go first?
Me first?
Brandi, go.
So I'm an Eagle, but not Allen. I'm from Rowlett.
Oh.
But I consider myself a halfie. She's going to start rolling her eyes at me. But I spent most of my time, Garland, Rowlett area, but I also spent a lot of time in Louisiana. So it's really funny because I'm the first one in my family born in Texas. And so I remember when my kids were younger, they were like, why does your voice sound different when you start talking to your family? Evidently, there's kind of an accent that comes out. But I met John and Alan, and so once we met, we became best friends, and I never left Alan. And I consider him, I think you guys probably are the most competitive with him when I say Allenite. He's been in Allen since he was in middle school. He grew up in the school district and went to Ford. He was at the freshman center before it was the freshman center. And then he was the first class to graduate through the actual new high school. And even before we were married, we were still engaged. I started attending Allen stuff. So I've kind of been brainwashed from, I may have been a Rowlett Eagle, but I don't even think like that. Just about me is, I went into the mortgage banking business, and in every group that I'd ever been in, I think there was at least 3 people that got tired of hearing about Allen. And, they were like, you stop wearing that sweatshirt. Do you really have to have, because I genuinely mean it. I just really support it. I love what you guys do because I feel it. And I think that the kids need that support. So that's kind of my passion. I left the mortgage banking industry and I'm now in sports entertainment marketing with a company called Legends. It's at the Frisco Star, and that's what I do. But more than anything, even day-to-day work, I consider that my side gig. My number one thing, and I know it sounds cheesy, but what I want to do is I want to be a coach's wife, and eventually I want to do what you do. So when you were talking, I was like, oh. So, anyway.
She's not just saying that just for y'all. She says that all the time. She's like, oh, no, supporting her husband, but supporting my dad is her number one job. So you do mean that, man.
I do.
Yeah, that's good. Alyssa?
Well, I've lived in Allen my entire life, so I have
so you're the only one here that can say that.
Yep.
So that's
since
good.
I was born in Plano, but we don't talk about that. But we
that where the hospital was.
We don't talk about that either.
Yeah, we can leave that part out.
That's, my doctor didn't.
You should have
do
told
Allen
us that.
Presby.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Immediately.
What's crazy is it was Plano Presby.
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't that where Dad was born? No, he's born.
No, but they wouldn't go to Allen Presby, or else she would have been born.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
But I went to Story Elementary, all of my elementary, and then I went to Ford Middle School, and then I was the first class to attend the new freshman center.
Okay.
So that was exciting, even though it was all still under construction our first week, and they were like, "Oh, don't step on the wood and the jackhammer and all of these tools." Which that was definitely interesting. And then I graduated in 2022, and then I went my first semester of college. I went to Oklahoma State University, and I was a architectural engineer major, which is completely different than what I do now. Yeah,
architectural
engineering. Yes.
Wow.
And then I realized you kind of have to be chemistry. First of all, is
you started to say smart.
Yeah,
she is smart.
Well, okay, I'm smart, but then chemistry, biology, no, thank you. Engineering, all of that, no, thank you. Physics, no, I don't know. But then I changed to pre-law, criminal justice major with a minor in legal studies, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm really excited because I'm actually taking some classes, criminal investigation classes and intro to law and legal assistance. And
you need to tell people where you're at.
At University of Arkansas, yes. I did transfer from Oklahoma State to University of Arkansas. Woo pig. I would do the call right now, but we don't have 2 minutes. So
y'all don't want her to.
Y'all don't. My brother, this is him every time. But no, yeah. And Fayetteville, I don't know if any of y'all have been to Fayetteville or even Arkansas.
It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. You actually get all 4 seasons. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
So you're glad you're there. Beat Stillwater, doesn't it?
Oh, beat
night and day.
Stillwater.
I graduated high school in Oklahoma, just
Oh, you
50
did?
miles from Stillwater.
Really?
So I
Okay.
understand.
Definitely. So you know it beats
I
Stillwater.
understand
get it.
exactly. Well, thanks for those intros, and it gave us some knowledge that we didn't have about you guys, so we appreciate that. And I did one thing. My first question on here, but I didn't hear it, was so no one grew up in a coach's family. So, did you have any well, you did,
Really?
Alyssa.
I'm
Yeah,
not a
Alyssa
coach's
did.
daughter.
Yeah, well, you grew up in it, so you understand the ins and outs of it from your first knowledge of what was going on. You did. So, did you ever have expectations that this is where you'd be as far as I'm looking for a coach?
No.
No,
No.
No.
not at all.
Well, that kind of leads to the question: how did you all meet? And did you have second thoughts, or what was your thinking of?
Well, let's start with Brandi, because I know when you
that's a
met
loaded
John,
question.
he
Yeah, it
wasn't
is.
a coach.
He was not.
Yeah.
Okay,
Explain that a little bit.
So, how deep am I going in this?
you don't
Just
have to
because
go
somebody
any
was
deeper
doing-
than you
yeah.
want to.
So, actually,
Y'all met in school.
we didn't.
Oh, I thought you said you met now.
We did
In
meet in
Allen.
Allen.
Oh, you
Not
were out of
Allen High School.
Got it.
We both had already graduated.
Okay.
And Allen was getting larger. And there was this new sports bar
Okay. That's fine.
called Chris's 19th Hole.
Yep.
Off of Bethany.
Yep.
It's Bethany Tavern now.
And there was Ted and Larry's, the Dirty Rooster, Bethany Tavern.
Yeah, it's
it's
been a
all
while.
of that, right? But when it first opened, it was called Chris's 19th Hole. And so my good friend and I started working there when it first opened. And then this guy just kept coming in and interviewing. And then he doesn't get hired, and then he comes in again. And finally, I can totally go to a long version, but I'm not going to because we only got a little bit of time. I was actually, this guy's really persistent. Like, you should give him a shot. Short version, long version is so much better. But the short version is, they hired him. He wasn't sitting people in my section. I was annoyed. I asked him to sit people in my section. He kind of gave me the side eye with a smirk, by the way. Yes, do you see this smirk?
Wow.
And-
So tired.
Calling him out.
Wow.
And still didn't sit people in my section. And long story short, we ended up becoming best friends, and from there. But once we got married, we've been married for 22 years, by the way, I didn't say that earlier. He was working in the mortgage banking industry with me as well. But he wanted to quit, so I supported him all through going back to school. And he first got his bachelor's, and then it was actually Norton. He was a teacher's assistant, and then his goal was to become a teacher at the high school and eventually coach. Right. And so his first semester, he was just a teacher, which was the second half of the school year. That summer, there was a basketball camp, and he went and volunteered his time, and it just so happened the freshman head coach quit. And at that point, all the things kind of fell into place, and he interviewed, and he ended up becoming the head coach for the freshmen. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm jealous that he knows his goals and he reached them like that.
Yeah.
So his first full year of teaching, he was a teacher and a head coach for the freshman basketball team, and you'll probably go down more questions later on the different aspects of time and everything, but I love it. I support him, and he is so happy, and he's so good at what he does. I get emotional actually with how he just reaches kids. It's inspiring.
Yep. Becky, what about you? How'd you and Lee meet?
So, as I mentioned, I'm from San Angelo. Lee went to Angelo State University. So we met through a mutual friend. But he's a little bit older than me, so I was heading off to college that summer. He was finishing college. And then, I don't know, we just through mutual friends, being in the same place multiple times, we continued to talk and visit. I went to A&M my first year and hated it. I know all the Aggies like cringe when I say that,
I'm
but
glad.
I did not like it.
Hey!
It was not the school for me.
Get your guns up.
Yeah, it was not the school for me. It was just really too big. And so when I transferred to Southwest Texas, Lee was coaching in Bastrop at the time, so it's only like 45 minutes from there. And so we were dating at that point. And I mean, I was in college going to high school football games on the weekends rather than having a college life. And now he always pretty much knew he wanted to coach. He grew up in a coaching family.
Right.
I think for a little bit of his early college years, he majored in math. He's a math nerd and thought he might want to go that direction, and then realized he's not equipped to sit behind a desk all day and do that work, and was definitely called to coaching. So he pretty much, it's just been in his blood. Born in that family, and his dad was a phenomenal coach and leader in the community, and his mom taught, and she ended up, before she retired, was a elementary PE teacher for years. So he grew up in that education world. I did not. I have family members on my mom's side who were in education, but not in coaching. So it was foreign to me completely. Had no idea what I was signing up for. Really didn't.
Is that a good thing?
I mean, there's good and bad. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know when we were considering marriage and talking about marriage, I mean, there were many conversations about, this is what you're signing up for. But really, until you live it, it's really hard to know it. And then, of course, as he was early on was assistant coach, and then he always wanted to be a head coach. I mean, that was his goal always. But then changing into the head coach's wife too is a different. It's just different, and so there was a lot of discussion about being prepared for that, but it doesn't really prepare you. But that was always his goal. So it was foreign growing up or living, and the way I grew up was completely disconnected. I mean, we love sports in our family, but there was nothing like that. So, but his parents, I think, were excellent role models. His mom, I love my in-laws. I think she helped me the most with because he was coaching with his dad early on when we were dating, so I went with her to all the football games. And she just was a model of what the support looks like, which includes going to everything, attending things, even outside of football. You go to basketball and volleyball games and baseball games and softball, just supporting the whole program, all athletes. We did that. I can't even remember how many dates I say in quotes. It was we were going to the baseball game, we just that's what we did. That's where you go. You go to other sports, so that it's not just isolated to when it's your season. So that was just something that I learned from them. And then she always told me every time they moved, she said, just make it your home. Don't ever think that she said, the years that I thought we wouldn't be there long, I would hold off on doing things, maybe around the house or maybe investing in the community, because I thought, we're not going to be here long. And that would be the time we were there the longest. And she said, I'd kick myself for not just investing. So she's like, the minute you get somewhere, make it your home. Do what you want with the house. Like, just get invested, because you never know. And don't waste that time. So she's been probably the best role model for a coach's wife, because that's what I learned from her. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Concession stand dinners.
Yes, nachos, hot dogs, popcorn. That's what my kids had most Friday nights was popcorn for dinner. I don't know. So, So.
Way you go, Mom.
Yep.
We love it.
Yep.
All right, your turn.
Okay. We met at a church softball league. Let's see.
Oh, please tell me you drilled him with a
line drive.
We were on the same team. We were on the same team.
Sometimes injury.
I thought my first impression of Clark, Coach Sip, was
this is going to be great.
He's a very hyper person. Like, he's just all over the place.
Hold that thought.
No.
We get to the game last night, and I see him when we walk in. The
Little
dude
thumper.
is drinking a Red Bull.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, he does
drink
not
those
need that.
anymore.
No. One literally, like 2 games ago, it was sitting here and the ball comes and it literally sprays. Like, it's right in his Red Bull, right in front of him, and it sprays right across the
Oh my gosh, no way. That dude cannot be drinking a Red Bull.
No.
He
He does
was.
not need that.
He is so wired to begin with.
I told him to.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Clark.
story.
No,
He's
you're
lost your
gonna
free
get it.
pass.
Yes, because he drank one. This is a squirrel moment. He drank one just a while back.
I love that she said squirrel.
And I know. And he comes home and it was late, and I'm sure we'll get to that later too. But it was late and he's just all in the kitchen bouncing around. And I'm like, oh, no, what is he doing? So I get up, I go in there, I'm like, are you okay? He goes, yeah. I had a Red Bull and I just I'm awake. I was like, don't ever have. And he was just anyway.
Never used to keep me up.
So your first impression, back? Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Sorry about
So he
that.
was kind of like the Red Bull situation. I was like, man, this guy has a lot of energy, Anyway, so I did. So we played softball together. Ended up, we started dating actually 11 years ago this month.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And our relationship was fast. My mother always said, I don't know if your parents were like this, said when you meet the right person, you will know and you will never have to question it. And that was the honest truth. When I met him, I thought, well, that's it. And we started dating in February. We got engaged in August or July, and we were married in November. So it was like, it was really quick.
Very similar.
Yeah. So it was. And so that, I don't know. That was it. We met. What else was I going to say? I got sidetracked. I was thinking.
She's still thinking about the Red Bull.
I was. She's mad
about him about that.
She's mad about it.
Her mind is like, when I
I know. Well, our story was so simple. We just met and then we started dating and then it was,
And then you got married.
and then we got married.
He was coaching though when you met.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. He was thank you. I need the Red Bull.
The responsible person in the room.
Yes. See, I'm thinking about the Red Bull. Now I'm thinking about this. Yes. He was coaching. Oh, wow. He was coaching, but he wasn't a head coach then. He was the assistant coach. At Sulphur Springs, he kind of had to wear multiple hats, which they always do.
Yeah.
But he was at the middle school and he was at the high school some, and he always knew he wanted to be a head coach. That was his passion. That was his first job. And when we met, he had already been at Sulphur for, I think, 2 years. Maybe not. Maybe it was 1. But very, very soon after we met and got married, he started being the head coach at Sulphur. And that was his first head coaching job. And he just, I know he's mine, so I'm very partial, but he just, that whole situation of their basketball just flipped. He just made it a totally different. They were very big into football, and and when he took over basketball, it's just like it just so much more developed at the younger age, like the middle schools and the elementaries, and I was kind of like Brandi when she said, you get emotional thinking about how much he loves what he does, like just watching him and go to the kids and go to the younger kids and take his time and do all those things. Just shows them,
man.
Yes, just letting them know how much he cares about them, and he just built that program up. So I was really proud of him for that. And then we moved. I'll never forget the day when you live in the same town your entire life, like I did, and you never thought you would move. My mom, my dad are there, my brother, my sister, everybody. So when we got together, I knew there was a possibility. And he said, would you ever move if... And I was like, back then I was... Adventure.
Blinded by love.
Yes, you were. And
Red Bull.
And yes. Don't forget the Red Bull. And from a previous marriage, I had a son. And so I was... I was like, sure, I'll move. But then you think, oh my goodness, if I move, then I'm going to, this little, my baby from,
uproot.
We'll have to uproot. So it was hard, but I just, you feel safe with your, the one you love. So I was like, yeah. Anyway, so fast forward, I'll never forget the day he called and told me, he said, hey, Alan called me, back. And it was just his voice. And I thought, oh man, he didn't get the job. I felt so bad. He was like, Lindsey, I got the job. And I was like, It was like the whole world. Have you ever had that experience, like where the whole world stops?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like nothing moves, nothing. My Boston was in the back seat, and I was just frozen. You know, I didn't know what to feel.
Yeah.
You know, but I said, okay, well, let's go. And so we did. And I'm not going to lie, that from the time he told me till honestly for me, probably about halfway through my first year, I wasn't at Norton, I was at Lindsey Elementary, my very first year here. I was like, I couldn't let go.
Yeah.
You know, that was my home. But after that, I was like, you know what? I didn't have somebody to give me advice like, you know, your mother-in-law, but I finally did that. I just let go and was like, look, we're here. My kids love it here. I just need to let it go. And I did. And I love Alan.
It's not so bad, is it?
Absolutely. I'm not just saying that. I love Alan.
You two did great, because my next question on here was talking about how many moves. And I know you haven't moved. I know you moved.
I just answered this to someone the other day.
And then I know you've only
remember
done
what it
one.
says.
But that's what I wanted to talk about next was the moves. And how many times have you moved, Becky? It's
I think this makes 7.
7.
I think.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And so let's talk a little
Army
bit.
life.
You just
Yeah.
did. That's great.
Like, someone asked me this the other day.
You can say it out loud.
I'm just like thinking of the stops.
Gotta
I
make
think
sure.
this is
Don't
7.
want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that was, I think that was definitely the hardest part about for me being a coach's wife is if you're starting over
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
And so early on, as he was transitioning from like sub-varsity coach or varsity coach, and then into head coach, and then after that, just working his way up through, different job opportunities that came along, I was always in the camp of, I knew that was he had goals. We talked about that. It was very evident of what his goals were. So I feel like, I was very supportive, but at the same time, it was hard. I mean, it's kind of like, I know this is what we need to do. I know this is what he's called to do. I know this is where we're going, and the opportunity is great. But at the same time, you do get planted and you get kind of settled, and then you have to go again. So that was hard. Now, when my kids were younger, I think the hardest thing for me was he would leave about February.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And then I was home alone till I finished my contract and did all of the, all of it. The selling of the house, the packing of the house, the showing of the house, getting the kids out of the house, drive around in the car, make sure the toys were picked up while someone was looking at the house, just all that by myself. There was a lot of that alone. And then, especially when they were little, that was really hard. Sure. And we had a few moves of just, then you're trying to sell a house and trying to find a house where you're going, and then, finally moving, and all the while, he's fully invested in the new job and is not able to really help. And early on, that was before, we had a cell phone when Hayden was born, but texting and that didn't really come on till much later. So, it's not like now where you can FaceTime and reach each other and text.
Right.
It just wasn't that. That's just early on. And so, I think that's really challenging. And then getting invested. Now, the good of that is, I was always in a school system, and not always the same one that he worked in, because there was a blessing and a curse with both of that, I think, depending on, different scenarios. But I think that helped, though, because I was already educators, or that's really all I've known, educators by nature or family. Yeah. And so elementary schools especially, that's where I spent most of my counseling. They just scoop you up, and you meet people and colleagues, and then we would, of course, try to find a church home and things like that to get invested in the community. But yeah, it's very, very difficult. There were a lot of years that when we would transition, even though I knew good things are coming in the moment, it was hard. It was a struggle. And then as you get older, it's also meeting friends and then who are people that are like-minded, and just all those things that come along with moving. So that's I think probably of all the coaching, even though there are other challenges, the moving part is is a tricky one.
So how was your experience when he gets the call from Alan?
Well, actually, as we're talking about like being cheerleaders for our husbands, I mean, I was like, "You're going." I mean, there wasn't really a thought that the answer would be no, even though I knew it would be very, disruptive, but in a good way of our family because we moved a kiddo in high school.
Yeah.
But I was actually really at peace about it. Which is really strange, honestly. Like I still think about that, but I support his endeavors wholeheartedly,
Sure.
and so it was kind of like you said, frozen in time. It's we had of course talked about it and. All the late nights going all over the what ifs and scenarios that you do when this might occur. And
but then it's real.
And then it's real. And then we're like, oh, wow, now, here is the decision making and knowing that, the following will be, really challenging road ahead just with any transition.
Sure.
It's just a transition.
Yeah.
And so, but no, I was like, you said yes, right? Like that was my,
Yes, right.
and it wasn't even, it's just because I knew that I felt like that was what was next. I did. I felt very, very much at peace about that. This is where he was meant to be next. Okay. I did. But it's been a learning curve though. Yeah. I mean, just because our life is different with a daughter, and I'm sad she's not here. She could talk about it for hours, but that made a difference in our move this time. So,
and he actually talked to us about that.
Yeah.
Because we ask questions.
Yeah.
One of the things that we appreciate about your husbands is the interaction that we have with them, because there's we've all been here a long time, and I'm not saying it just because you're here, but the interaction that we've had with those three men has been the best that we've ever had. Yeah. And I would throw
that's not to say,
in there.
and that's not to say anything about the other men. It's just the dynamics of personalities, the dynamics of the interaction, and being open to new people, new friendships, new relationships.
I mean, we've known John forever. John, at a time, he doesn't do it anymore. He hasn't been. He was Cheney's boy to clear the parking lot. While we're tailgating.
You want to go ride around on the gator?
Yeah. He stopped by and he talked to us. Your husband makes it a point when they come out to go to the dinner. He talks to us. On his way back, he stops and talks to us. He's done the podcast with us for 2 seasons now, which bless his heart. I don't know if you.
We didn't have to twist his arm that
No, we didn't.
I think he volunteered almost. He enjoys that.
The fact that he thinks all our questions are stupid is even better. That was
so
and he
hilarious.
comes sits with us at the basketball games too.
Yeah, he just.
That's where I met him.
Yeah.
Actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
At the basketball game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your husband, anytime he always asks me, "What do you need?" I'm like, "Dude, you got it backwards."
He's such a nice human.
Yeah.
He is such a nice.
He really is.
It's just made it really neat for us, to be able just to have that. I feel like I can text any one of them at any point in time, and if I need something, or if I have a question, like the minute they announced the game last night. John texted me, or this morning, I guess it was. He texted me, boom, right off the press. He goes, off the press, here it is, you know when the game is. I told him, I guess I'll clear my schedule for that. He goes,
see if I can make
it.
Me too.
Because he knows you'll be there.
Yeah. But it's just that interaction that makes it so much better for us, just because they're decent, great human beings, and that's really cool for our community to have the people in place like that, so we're glad you're here, and even though the transition is tough, and I moved 6 times during my kindergarten to high school, so as a kid, and you've been fortunate you haven't had to do it.
I haven't moved once. Well, I guess once when I was like 2.
But you stayed within
literally the neighborhood next to the neighborhood streets.
When you move in school, and I'm sure Julia she would shed some light on it, especially to a school like Allen, because I know
it's different.
It's very different.
It's very different,
and everyone already has connections because they've basically all grown up together.
Yeah, or a lot of them have. It's a little more moving parts now, but it's not easy, especially for a girl, and that's tough. So.
Yep.
When she's into sports, has the team been kind of that hug you and embrace you type of environment for her?
You know, I will say, and she's quit volleyball since, but moving here, I cannot speak enough about how great Coach Poole is. I just can't even say enough about how great she is. Yeah. Because, Julia came in, we unloaded, we had movers on August the 3rd unloading our stuff, which was the day Julia found out whether she made the volleyball team.
Yeah.
We literally, the movers were at the house and I had to leave them to go get her from tryouts. And on the way, we were literally all holding our breath of like, did she make it? Because we just knew to be a part of something was going to mean something, moving in, not knowing anyone.
Right.
And so, yes, her being a part of volleyball was really just a great start for her because, yes, instantly you and several of the student athletes just scooped her up, took her in, very kind, and so that made a big difference. And even though she was on JV, so she wasn't directly coached by Coach Poole, but just how Coach Poole runs her program and the culture that's established there, I can't even say enough good things. That was a great experience for her.
Awesome.
So that did help with the transition of moving because she was immediately in season and involved in something which she's used to doing, and so that was truly a blessing. Answer prayer, 100%. So
some form of continuity.
Just needed her to be connected. Something to be connected. That's all we were praying for. Like we just need her to be connected to something, to get involved, and so that was very helpful. There were lots of other challenges that came along, but I think without that it would have been very difficult. So it was a great start, and it's a great program. And obviously she's grown up in a coaching life, and so it's hard for her to not be in a sport now. Actually, she's used to being involved in some sort, but it was great. It was a very good start for her.
Well, and one of the things too, we complain about social media a lot, and we'll get into that in a bit, but one of the things for your kids now, in a transition, they can still stay connected to their old friends a lot easier than when we were growing up.
Absolutely.
If you moved,
it was a little more catastrophic.
It used to be a letter.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
You probably talked to all your high school friends still a lot, and when we were growing up, that was not going to happen.
Right.
It was a totally blank slate starting all over, and it's tough sometimes. So glad to hear that transition went well. So your transition, once you let go, as you said,
I just
has been good.
Yeah, I was more nervous, I think, for our oldest son was going into middle school, and so he was transitioning to here. And middle school's hard, and
exclamation point.
Yes, and so we were terrified for him. He's very much an introvert. He is not like our youngest. We could move him anywhere and he would be fine.
Boston has no stranger danger.
No, he does not. The Lord help him. Adorable. He is his father. He
Red
really
Bulls
is.
too?
Red Bull.
Yes. He doesn't even
That
need the
child
Red Bull.
doesn't need a Red Bull. He is a Red Bull. Right? Maddox is more like me, and I was so scared for him. And he loved it. He flourished. He still is. He's a pal. He is Coach O's manager on the basketball team.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that. He's into ASA baseball or PSA baseball. So I was more nervous for him, and he honestly has done the best. Like he joined the football team on Curtis, and he met a bunch of friends. It's been really good for him.
Good.
Yeah, we were excited for him. And the little one, he's he's fine. He's in first grade this year.
Look, the funny thing about Boston is everybody knows Boston.
Yeah,
everybody knows
knows
basketball
Boston.
game. Everybody knows Boston.
Yes, because he talks to everybody. He stands on the front. I don't know if all coaches' kids are like this that grow up in it. I mean, that child has had a basketball in his hand and been in a gym his entire life, and so he is all about it. When that game starts, he doesn't play with the other kids. He's standing on the rail watching that game. He can tell you the stats from some of the games. He's like, man, Caden, he shot blah, blah, blah. And, I don't think he missed one shot. Mom, I'm like, I don't think he did either tonight, buddy. He just is zoned into it. He loves it. He just, eats, sleeps, and breathes it. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch him have such a passion. And I think he watches his dad, obviously, too.
Oh, for sure.
Have that passion for all of them. And so it's a really cool.
It's a good dynamic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Which I've seen in you. I mean,
her brother's worse.
No, Mikey's not vocally worse.
He's not as vocal.
In different ways.
She's vocally worse.
Mikey gets embarrassed. He's like, anytime I'm with him in a game, he doesn't send me. Because anytime he does, he's like, sit down, stop talking. And like,
sorry,
he gets it in his head, and he'll talk to us. But
he's gonna watch me now.
I will remember.
That's all right.
Oh,
the Marcus playoff game a couple years ago, when your father turned around and told you to hush.
I was a manager for him because I played basketball kindergarten through middle school, and I quit my 3 days before freshman year because I wanted to be my dad's manager and sit on the team with him. And I thought that was all fun and games until I realized I couldn't speak my mind on the bench. And so I remember the ref didn't call a foul in plain sight, and I stand up and I go, "You're not going to call that." He goes, "Get the out of here!" And I go, "What?" And
I crossed
obviously, not I'm his kid, obviously, so it's he did not But I remember never been more embarrassed, and I was like, okay, so I think I take this a little too seriously. I was coming on the way back from Arkansas. I was telling my friend, I was like, I already have anxiety for the game. And she's like, it's just, you're not even at the, you have 5 hours of the basketball game. I was like, yeah, I know, but I feel it. I can already tell. And I was like, if we lose,
I see a lot of nodding heads. That seems very
no, and nobody gets, my legs shaking the whole entire time. I'm about to jump on the court.
CDB, baby.
Especially being around it and it's seeing how much my dad wants it. It's one, I want it for him, and two, I don't want him to be in a bad mood when he gets home. So
there's that.
Wow. Next,
I'm starting to ask. We're going to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because my next question was, how much job talk is there at home?
A lot.
A lot
for us.
Whether you win or lose, huh?
Yeah,
and I guess my question sort of rounds about how much do they use y'all as sounding boards for things that are. And it may just be like any other job. I don't know. We go home and we
or you may have good boundaries and just say, okay, look,
or
maybe we talk about it over dinner, but then
so.
I know for us that. So we worked in the same industry for a while before he did this. We did not. We did. If I needed to talk about something, he would listen, and vice versa. But it was apparent that neither one of us really wanted to hear about the corporate America crud.
That's what I tell my wife all the time. You really want to hear about?
And even before I left the bank, I would start talking. He's like, I left there. I really don't want to hear about this. He would still listen, but he was just being honest. And that's what I love about our relationship is we can just tell each other the truth. But when it comes to basketball, sports, or even if he's talking about something going on with Pal, it's just easier to talk about in our house, and I want to hear it. Because I want to be that sounding board, and I want to, obviously I want to give my opinion, because I have opinions.
No.
Really? Really? I say all the time, I was like, I'm not a coach, but I watch, and I learn, and this is my thought. So I think for us, our relationship is, one, throughout the years, I've learned from the different coaches and my husband, and then how they've handled things, and I've also seen different kids, grow up and succeed or fail, and how they've overcome different things, and kind of seen some repeat patterns. And so I think it's cool when we're able to converse about that and go through the motions. It's very open in my house.
Yeah. So would you say there's a lot, or?
Oh yeah. I would say the majority of our conversation that doesn't have to do with our kids or us is about Alan
in the best
basketball.
Way, I'll get a call from my dad. He'll be like, "Oh, this happened at practice. This happened," and it's just he lights up talking about it.
He does.
It's
that's our house.
Why else would you want to talk about it?
Our house is pretty. It's very similar. I know if he loses, he doesn't like to talk about it right then. It's a little bit.
But he'll find his way.
But he'll find his way.
Yeah.
But I think his release is, because I think y'all will think the same, is if a parent situation on one of his kids, he can't really talk about that, I feel like, to anybody else.
Right.
So I feel like that's And so, we have talks about that. And
well, it's interesting because I heard him say the other day, somebody asked him the question, what was you? And about, like he says, after a game, win or lose, he doesn't go in and praise the kids or criticize the kids because he said, I miss a lot.
Too soon,
So I need to go back and look at the tape, and then I can talk to him. Don't worry, things fall over.
He's done that several times.
Really, he's like hiding back there. Nobody's saying.
He'll always ask, like, how do you think the game went?
Yeah.
What could we have done better? And I'm kind of like you. I'm like, I'm not a basketball coach. This is what I saw. But this is what happened. And he'll tell me that. He'll say, like a game not in our district. I was like, man, we did this. We did not do this. We did not do this. He's like, I know. And he went back and watched the film, and he was like, actually, Lindsey, we shot blah 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 and did this and did that. And he goes, and he said, that's exactly why I don't go in the locker room after the game and talk about it. I'm just like, you played hard, you did great, let's go home.
Yeah.
Because he said he misses a lot, and he doesn't want to say something that is not true to them. And
well, we can help fill him in on that. We see everything. What about Lee? How much in your house?
It's funny listening to that. He is very quiet at home. And while of course we talk about, and I'd be interested, I was just sitting here wondering what my kids would say answering that question.
Yeah.
My son would tell you something probably totally different because they talk about very technical into it, just because that's what.
And for those who don't know, your son plays at Tech.
He's at Tech football, So they're all in. So some of the technicality of the game of what Lee thinks about after or upcoming even is my overhearing his conversation with Hayden.
Okay.
Because if I directly ask about something, well, first of all, he's not home. So let's just say that. Truly, he's not home ever. And so there's not a lot of opportunity to talk. Our talk time is usually around lunch when he's heading home for lunch, and he'll call me at work. And we have, because the evenings are busy and full, or he's not home, and then in season, he's really not home. So when he is home, it's usually about home stuff, like when we talk. So, and it's not that we're not involved in what's upcoming, because we are very much, and Julia actually, she is probably the most competitive human in our household, honestly. Like, she is so competitive out of all of them, everyone. And so she has lots of questions, of course, about, what do you think about this week? And what about so-and-so? And then she likes to tell them what all the kids are saying and, all of that. And, but she is in it to win it and is a very involved spectator as well. She gets the same, it's a family, truly a family affair. We're nervous, we're anxious, we're involved. She's involved, she's zoned in. She'll cry, like when we lose and it's a big game, she will find me, because now that she sits in the student section, we have kind of a 2-minute rule, meet me on the field 2 minutes till, and often she beats me down there. But when we lose, when it's our last game or a really tough game, I can see her looking for me because she's upset. So we're very, so I don't know if we talk, like, there's not a lot of Lee's very good about boundaries. I don't know parent situations going on. He keeps all of that I think it's because he uses all of his words. Let's talk, first of all, for real, like, he bosses everyone around all day long.
Yeah.
He does, and he tries to boss me around at home, and I'm like, I'm not one of your coaches, so don't, just make sure we understand, But I think truly by the time he gets home, he has between his phone calls and his meetings and his obviously coaching, he's kind of done.
He's tapped out.
He really is. Yeah. And so I try to learn of when I can ask, and then, but my favorite phrase that he says, which is like the worst thing ever, is I'll say, what do you think about, whoever we're playing? What do you think we're going to do? And he'll say, we have a chance to win. And I'm like, everybody has a chance to win. That tells me zero. That gives me no information.
You tell him what we tell him. We don't allow coach speak.
Yeah, so he keeps everything very, like, he just, so it's funny. There's just not a lot of chatter. And a lot of that is when he does get home, he's on his laptop. He works constantly, like in season, especially. It's crazy. So there's not a lot of time to chat about the little things. And he does a really good job. And I would say always really has is when he calls me. It's, how's your day? How are the kids? You know, where's Julia? Like he does. He immediately focuses in on, you know, what's going on with us. So he does a really good job of that. I feel like to keep that kind of in check. So anyway,
nice.
I swear y'all have gotten my sheet.
We looked at it before.
You did my next question was, you know, where do you sit at games? Because and what's your anxiety level? I know this one. This part.
Yeah.
Last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? You sat behind us, right behind us when we were at Wiley.
I think that was last year when we lost
Richardson.
Yeah.
And bless your heart.
I'm telling you, it's terrible.
I wanted to hug you or something, but I was afraid to.
I know, and I don't know. I mean, I know why I get like that because
are you like that at every game, or is it just the
you feel the build up?
I think it's a kind of a build up. Yeah, like I'm pretty bad during the season, like regular season, but playoffs it's way worse. Like I think about it all day at work. Like I know the kids can sense it from me because I'm just like, what? You know, I'm just like kind of on edge. You know, I'm sure my littles are like, what's wrong with Coach?
I'm sorry.
Today? Like I'm so sorry. You know, but it's like my mom even asked me today. She's like, Lindsey, why are you so nervous? I'm like, it's like I'm playing. It's like I'm out there on the court, and it's just I just want it so bad for him and those kids because they have worked so hard. You know. And
I don't know about these guys, but I'm the same way with you. I may not show it outwardly, but inwardly.
It just
again,
is
this
ripping.
is our passion too.
Yeah. So
and we have to prep ourselves sometimes, like this football season. After the second round, we said, okay, all right, everything from here is bonus. The way the season started and what he's been through and had to deal with. Yeah, let's enjoy it. Enjoy every minute of it while it's positive. If we lose, okay.
Yeah.
We requested for him to not, like, can we win by more than a point or not in overtime?
I asked him that
too. And you know what his response is? Because Julie and I are like, can we just, like, get a lead? So we can be like, little stands. And he was like, that's what makes it fun.
That's what he told me.
Oh my
God.
God.
And I'm like, that's why you're a coach and I'm not.
Yeah.
That's
not
fun.
That is not fun.
Like, that's not fun.
The anxiety
Not
and
fun.
adrenaline of a close
Not one bit
game.
is a fun.
Yeah, I like blowouts.
Really? Y'all like
I do
what?
too.
So,
Well,
anyway.
especially
Maybe I
when
should
it's
be a
against
coach.
Plano.
Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe this Tuesday I'm praying for a blowout.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Guess what?
Where do you hang out?
So, of course, when we're at home, we have a section designated for us, which I've always, no matter where we've been, I've always appreciated that because it's coaches, wives, and families, so you're a little protected by who you're. It's true by who
And
you're
if somebody
sitting
comes
around.
at somebody, heaven forbid.
And you can really, drown out. You don't really hear a whole
the
when you're
vitriol,
in your home stand. Typically, you can kind of drown that out. It's when we travel or away. So usually, like I have a varsity group wives text message that goes around, and whoever gets there first, we try to sit together as much as we can when we're away. So I try to find away from everybody.
Y'all need to come sit with us.
Yeah, I try to sit away from people. Honestly, I do.
Maybe they don't.
Maybe they don't. Well, and part of it, I think, is like when you're with other coaches' wives. Even some of my family members who've come to games, like they don't quite understand. Like, I don't want to talk to you. This isn't social for me. I'm not at a college football game. Like, this is not fun. In the way of like, this is work. We're at work.
You're seriously invested.
And so I can't sit next to people that are there to chat and talk. Like I can't do that. And so I do sit away. We try to sit away from people and try to protect ourselves. And then I will have depending on the crowd and what's being said or what's happening, because this is one thing that, I mean, Julie and I've talked about most recently, is, from week to week, you're either the town idiot or the town hero. Mm-hmm. Either way, you're going to be one of the two of those. And there's really not a lot in between. Mm-hmm. And so you have to handle that whichever way it's going to fall, knowing that we know more intimately what's going on than the public does. Yeah. And also telling her and reminding myself also my own temper and what I hear sometimes is that really coaching is the only profession where you're inviting the public to your job and they get to be a spectator of your job. No one comes to see me work every day. I don't have, thousands of fans watching every move I make and analyzing it like a coach does. Mm-hmm. And with fans who are invested or feel like that they know the answer, and they also have a misunderstanding, I think, especially high school football in particular. I think that there's this perception that, these are NFL players out there, even college players, that in those other elevated levels of sports, they got to draft their players and pick their players. Right. We're talking about high school kids. Whatever kids you get that next year, that's what you have to work with. Yep. You're not drafting, the best of whatever position. And so I feel like they're high school kids out there. And so they're going to drop balls. They're going to miss tackles. Right. They're going to throw interceptions. They're going to do the thing. You can call, right? Yeah. You can call the most fabulous play, but the execution is only to the kids out there. And so I try to keep that in mind when I'm hearing the spectators, because I know, but, and I also know the work and the hours that went into it. But, so it's a battle, because you do hear negative things, and people can be very cruel. Yes. I mean, we all have listened to the, come on, coach. And sometimes I'm like, come on, coach, why did you call that? I mean, trust me, right? Because I'll ask them, like, why did we go for it on da-da-da-da-da, Yeah. I have the same things, but then there's a line that people cross that you're like, oh, now you're being really cruel. And so that's where I will, most of the time, I move myself. Like, if there's a fan or someone who's just crazy, I will leave and walk away and go stand or sit somewhere else, so that I don't say something I shouldn't in the stands. But I do try to sit away, and a lot of that's because I'm nervous, I have a lot of energy, and I don't want to chat with people. And it's not to be rude, but I will see people that come up, and I'm like, hi, but I try to, I can't, it's hard for me to engage, because I really feel like, especially game days that are important or playoff games, like, I'm just sick to my stomach. I mean, just honestly, like, the whole time I just can't really eat. And I know that's silly. It's silly when you think about, like, it's a football game, but you know how much time is invested, you know how much they want it, you know how much it means. And so it's hard to separate that. So I try to just go away, and like I mentioned, Julia, she'll come find me, especially now that she's in the stands. If things get crazy, I will say, come over here, leave the suit, like, come on, sit by me, like, you need to get yourself out of that situation and come over.
So you and she have a real good kind of, I guess, ESP.
We do. She'll text me and say, and like, we have a family text now that, because Hayden's not able to come to football. Yeah. And so we have a family text, and sometimes he can't see the live. Sometimes you get audio, sometimes it doesn't work. And then when they're text traveling or whatnot, on a Friday night, they're in the hotel before the game, so we can't always get it. And so I'm usually texting play by play to our group, and then Julia, it's like commentary. You should see our text. So anyway, so there's a lot of like, oh my gosh, oh no, just things. It's just this constant. Our text messages, if I look back, they're probably pretty funny.
It's a lot like us.
When you don't respond in time, and they're like, what's happening?
Yeah, and then Hayden's like, what happened? And I'm like, I can't, or whatever. Or it's raining, or my fingers are cold because I don't have my gloves on, or whatever. So
you slow type.
It's an intense. It's definitely intense. But I've learned over the years how to try to manage, just things that are going on around me, and removing myself. I'm not always perfect at it, I'm not going to lie. But I'm at least not in a gym where I echo.
Yeah.
So that's at least I can.
Or whenever it's completely silent.
When it's completely silent. I at least don't have that. So I've
done that way too many times.
Well, and Brandi, John's the head coach of the freshman team, and so we haven't been able to get to freshman games because they're at a different time. They're earlier today, and so are you keeping the book now for the freshmen, or are you not?
So for away games,
okay,
I try to do it for both.
Right.
Varsity and freshman.
Right.
I don't do it for JV.
So you're a spectator during the freshman games?
At home, unless somebody has bailed and Kim asked John for me to do it there.
So what's that experience like? See, I can tell already.
Tell the McKinney one with the best.
Hold on. So
patience, young girl.
Just for the record, I try to play it cool, but the books are literally my security blanket. Doing the books, it helps me focus. It's kind of like when my son played tackle football, I cheer coach so that I could not watch him get hit.
How did that work out?
Not very well, because you were my cheerleader. And she wouldn't listen to me worth nothing. Anyway, everybody else did, just not that one. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. When I'm doing the books, my mouth is shut, because I am opinionated, I'm very blunt, and I'm passionate. But like both of these ladies, like I am a hot mess that entire day, pretty much every game. Like not as much earlier in the season, but especially like even pre-playoffs. Once it gets to playoffs, though, it's like all the time. So when something happens that I don't get to do the books, I'm like, oh no, because I don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. I'm with you. Like I don't want to chat. So either I find you guys or I find Lindsey in Boston. Because if I don't find y'all, I'm completely away. Because especially when I'm in that mode, some of the stuff that gets said, I'm scared of what I'm going to say back. And that's just
knowing you
being very honest and knowing what I can and cannot do. But at the freshman games, when I'm there, I sit on the opposite side as all of the fans because I don't have a security blanket. Like I sit literally behind, because when you're back there, your players, coaches, or whatever, you can't yell.
Well, and I think basketball is a much more emotional game than football, because you're right there and you see a lot more and you hear a lot more.
Yes.
And
you hear
hearing what the players say, like from the other team, especially like last night, like hearing, like it gets so frustrating because it's like at the end of the day it is a game, and like to see like people kind of take it from like the level of like having fun, get competitive and all that, and turning it into something like gross and just trying to like kind of like, I don't know, like show that you're better, like ego, and like, kind of taking the fun out of it. And like you see our players and they get frustrated because they're getting talked to like this, but again, like we don't, like you play the game, we have sportsmanship, we're gonna help people up, don't listen to them, if they want to talk, they talk, but like you can see it on their face, like they get frustrated and stuff like that.
And we've all been there. I mean, but I think that there is a difference between the two.
I agree. Absolutely.
Not that football's not emotional, because
that's emotional on different levels.
We've got some plays highlighted from this past season where referees clearly missed calls, and you're just
blatantly, clearly,
and in the grand scheme of the game, you don't know if it would affect the outcome, but it affected that moment right then, and that is where it did affect the game, and to not be able to correct it when you know it's wrong, and we're talking about dealing with teenagers here, and I always want to say to parents, when they say, oh, it's a coach, you've got either 5 guys or you got 11 guys. Somebody may have not done their job. Somebody may have not done something that they've been trained and told to do, which is just like when you ask your kid to take out the trash.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he doesn't
2 hours later,
and the trash isn't taken out.
Still there.
It's the same thing. I want to look at these parents and say, does your kid always do everything you tell them to? Even though you've told them 20 times, do they do it?
No.
The answer is no. Yeah. And so why don't put this all on the person up here when it might be one of the people down here that caused whatever happened to happen? Right. It's a lot for y'all, and we've been through it with a coach's wife. We got dressed down by a coach's wife once, and it's a very long, convoluted story that we'll tell you sometime. But in the grand scheme of things, you're like, we understand it, but it's never personal with us. You know, we may have a criticism of a play call, we may have criticism of the way things were done, but it's never personal.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. You know, I remember last year during one of the games, one of the players' moms in the stands yells, "What is this lineup?" Because Clark had put out.
Oh, yes. I remember that one.
And that lineup went on a 10-0 run.
I know.
And I'm like, I want to turn around and say,
That's
what that lineup is. When she said it, I agreed with her. Because I was like, this is a different thing. Is this really going to work? And it did. So you're like, he does know what he's doing. Yeah. Because sometimes you don't know, you know, and that's what we talk with Lee about that a lot, about behind the scenes stuff. There's a reason you're doing what you're doing. And 99% of the people in the stands don't have a clue.
That's right. No. And they don't
they
know all the rules.
They
don't know all the rules. They don't understand.
Very true.
Especially clock management. Oh my gosh. And y'all, I'm sure basketball's even worse, but the amount of times of like, I hear, you know, snap the ball, snap. You know, they're watching the clock go down or call a timeout or whatever. Like, I'm just like, you realize if anyone is watching the clock, it's my husband, trust me. Like, he is not watching the clock. Every coach knows clock management. Yeah. But the people in the stands think that they're just ignoring it. That they're just like, gonna let it. Anyway, it makes me laugh. And so... Anyway, it's just little things like that don't bother me. It just kind of makes me giggle of like, if you only knew how much they actually are watching that clock. I promise.
What I like is that like for basketball, when a kid gets subbed in, you know, you can hear, well, why is he taking him out?
Why is he taking him out?
Half the time the player asks because they're out of like they want to
and it's not because they did something bad. They think like your child is getting pulled for a punishment
because they did something bad. Yeah,
he's not punishing them. Yeah. There's a reason whether that kid looks fatigued. He knows that kid's limit. That kid's been playing for 2 minutes hard straight. Like he needs a break. Or he's fixing to have a dumb foul, or he's fixing to do something. You know,
needs like, one on offense, one on defense.
Yeah, I just want to address people sometimes and say, do you think my husband is trying to lose the ball game or win the ball game?
When you do that, please let me know because I want to video it.
I want to know what the person says back.
I mean, there's so many different reasons. It could be foul trouble. It could be a quick coaching moment.
And it could be for punishment, like it could be because like
this. But there's a
reason if like they are the coach, not you.
It depends on who's in on the other side.
In on the other side, like you. He has a matchup.
Football and basketball matchups are huge.
You know, and I get it. That's their baby. They want them playing. They want to see them. They're doing great. We get that. But he's trying to win a ball game.
Right. And scholarships are not achieved by one play.
No, it's not.
Whatever.
Yes.
Sport. Sorry.
Yeah. So I would like to stand up and say that one.
Yeah,
I probably won't.
There's all sorts of things.
We're going to print signs.
Yeah. Let me just hold it.
And we, in our tailgating, we hear from a lot of parents. A lot of parents.
Yeah.
And you would be amazed how many NFL caliber players have run through Allen that never made it to the NFL.
Never got there.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks their kid is the best. And that's, I want you to advocate
and that's natural.
Yes.
That's absolutely
But
But that's the best thing about us is we have nobody and we can evaluate it and go, all right, glad you think that, but you're wrong. You know, and you don't say that to them. And y'all can't say that to them. But it's interesting the perspective that people have about their children, you know, and it's just like the coaches are with them. They go through all the. Are you at all the practices? Do you see how hard your kid practices? Does he loaf in practice? Does you know, which is what I love about what your husband does for his starting.
I was
his
just
starting
about
five.
to say that. Yeah,
and we've talked about it. And he said, you know, it's how you practice during the week that determines the starting five.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, they have a whole, y'all seen it, I'm sure. Like, it's a whole spread. Like, so many things go into it,
it's
you know.
math.
It is. I love it. You know, I love it.
But they know where they stand.
But they know where they stand. And, you know, when a parent comes to him, like, you know, asking questions, he can say, okay, this is where, you know, he stood this week, you know, and, you know, and it's still hard for parents. I mean, it would be, I'm trying to prepare myself one day.
We had this discussion a few weeks ago, didn't we?
You know, I could probably get some information from y'all when Maddox chose not to play basketball. He's playing baseball. Boston, like I said, and so I hold my breath, and I know it's crazy. Y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but I worry about it now. And he's 7.
I don't think it's
crazy. About the day that his daddy has to make the decision. Are you good enough to play for me? I'm telling you, before you do
tears me up.
And he's 7, y'all. I can't even imagine.
I know.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
I can honestly say that Michael was probably about that age or younger when John wasn't even coaching when he was that small. But I started watching him and how much he loved, he loves sports.
Yeah.
And I call him sports encyclopedia, whether it's football, basketball, it could probably go further, but those two for sure. Football, basketball, and baseball, he could splurt it out. But he played all. But then once John became a coach, and then I actually, so Mike got cut his sophomore year. And it was a split, whatever. And, I didn't talk to him for and then he wanted to talk, and I said, I will, but not right now, because if you talk to me right now, you're not getting your wife, you're getting Michael's mom, and Michael's mom's not happy. And there was other things that went into it. I still, to this day, I respect the McCulloughs and the other coach that left and my husband, but I still to this day think it was the wrong decision. But that's just based off of what I've seen and how different things have happened. Do I think that he would have been like the superstar of the team or anything like that? No, I don't. Do I think that he would have been a great bench player and he would be a good dark horse because he's had some great capability? And I'm not saying that just to go, I am kind of on my mom soapbox, but I'm not just saying that because of that, but I'm saying that because I do take in all the different things that are said. But from where you're saying, I get it. And it's hard from a relationship standpoint because I love he's like literally my best friend and I support and love him everything. I did not even want to talk to him about it because it's my kid.
I know.
So I get it.
I feel bad to interrupt, but I do feel better interrupting my mom. I do have to go say bye to my dad before I go home so that I can say bye. But thank y'all so much for having me. I hate to leave in the middle. It's actually beautiful and I love this conversation. I will be watching the rest later.
Okay.
But
excellent.
I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's podcast.
Be careful going back.
I'll try.
We'll get Julia
and
you together.
Are you gonna hug
and I do look forward to meeting her one day.
Yes, she just had
my dad talked to her.
She loves your dad. She had Arkansas visit last weekend.
Oh, she did. She did.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
He mentioned that.
If she has any questions about
she
that,
loved it. I'll let you know.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's great.
You'll have a great rest of your podcast.
Right.
It's good seeing y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, John said that he was excited for them to meet before we knew that she wasn't going to, because he did say that she might have to work.
Yes.
But he said that they would get along really well.
Yeah,
and he was I think she was looking at Arkansas.
We did. We just did a visit last weekend.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So I'll keep that in mind for her. So, well, and Hayden, he's in college now, but he's same in football. I'm so nervous about it, but I think too, some of the things that Hayden endured that I saw as the mom, because Mama Bear. I mean, that's probably like talk about dual roles is
Right.
It's your husband out there, and you know how much time and energy invested, and your whole life is invested in it. I mean, your whole family is around the sport, and that's hard for people to understand. But then when your child may be a player. I think that was really difficult. I just remember, and of course Lee handles things way better than I because he's not Mama Bear. It's just a different, I think moms just in general, we worry and stress over things, and he's definitely more
honestly, women are more emotional.
We are, absolutely.
For sure.
And we're around and my time with my kids is more. I mean, I'm with them in those moments more than he is, but when Hayden started football in the 7th grade, and he made the A-team, and there were kids that were really mean and just tried to steal his joy, and it's because you're daddy's ball, all this stuff. And I mean, he was in middle school, so he wasn't even in high school yet, and so Hayden endured a lot of just some of that, did I earn it? Or is
Right.
it because of my dad?
Yeah.
And just this constant reassurance that you earned it. And Lee telling him, those coaches are not going to put you on the field if you're not good. I mean,
That's right.
it doesn't matter who you are. No one's doing that.
Yeah.
Even in middle school, they're not doing that. And so that confidence thing for him, I think, was something because the peers are telling him one thing because it's you're only here because fill in the blank. And really when it's truly like, well, maybe there's skill there. And so dealing with just some of what other people say. And then when Hayden made varsity as football as a sophomore, that was really hard because that was truly the moment that he coached Hayden. And he was dad on the field, or not on the field, he was coach on the field and dad at home. And Hayden was really struggling with that dynamic. And I probably one of the times that, I mean, we had to have a powwow in the living room about mid-season of Hayden's varsity sophomore year because Hayden felt like that Lee was singling him out and being harder on him than anyone else, and he was, and he will. But it was also a moment. I mean, we literally had to in the living room, and I was like,
together.
okay, you get to talk. And then you can't interrupt. And then after you're done talking, then you get to talk. Like, we had to do the whole thing.
I love
because it was a really, this struggle of that dynamic of father-son, and just all the things that go into that. And then it morphed into junior year where it was just, now it was like, hey, Dad, okay, what about this? They learned how, both of them learned how to manage the relationship.
Yeah. Because we talk about the kid, not to interrupt, but it's also really hard on your husband.
Oh, sure.
All I think about is Boston. Oh my gosh, Boston. But it would be equally hard on your
it is.
on our spouses
it's hard
to
to manage that. So
don't hurt him too bad.
So I get it. Whenever you get there, just let me know. I get it. We've
because it
lived
really you have to have like a
because and then when they're out
like
there,
don't understand. Like you have to have a.
That's right. I was thankful that Hayden was not a quarterback. I was at least thankful that we didn't have that. He's a receiver, which anyway. But I was just thankful that we didn't have that dynamic because. At least
that's really hard.
That would have been really hard for me in the stands as a quarterback mom or whatever.
We've seen situations with that, in different teams.
Yes, and so
especially when the quarterback touches the ball.
Yeah, I didn't have that. We didn't have that. So anyway, but it was also one of my most favorite times. On top of it, though. It's a good time.
I'm anxious. I'm ready for that day. But I'm also,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so really nervous for it.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of growing up to do between now.
Yeah, he does. I know, isn't that crazy that I've already thinking that far? But
well, it's in the back of your mind.
It
is.
And it'll give you time.
Yeah, to prepare myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have resources.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Experience, the voice of experience. That's awesome.
It never hurts to talk to people who have been there.
Yeah. No, sure.
Yeah. All right, do y'all spend much time on social media as it relates to Allen football, Allen basketball? I'm just curious.
I don't read the comments.
Oh, you don't?
No.
No.
The only, and I've learned over time, of course, to manage that. I think the only page I follow is the Allen Eagle actual football account that they put out the content.
Allen Eagle football.
Yeah. I'm not on.
Get into the fan pages and stuff.
No, because it's not probably a fan page. It's probably a bash page. I really don't know. I don't look at it.
Yeah.
It may be out there. And I'm sure, I just no, I don't look at it. I'm not on Twitter anymore either. I used to many years ago.
Yeah.
I was that was a place after Friday night, because there's some great content, that media is covering and all that. But then, I don't know. I don't really.
When we first came, somebody had posted something. I think it was a workout Clark was doing, the very first year he was here, and I made the mistake of reading one of the comments, and I was like, you know what? I'm
gonna set you straight.
No.
Well,
I probably would have. I probably would have.
Wow.
But he always looks at me and says, Lindsey.
Oh my gosh.
He does. He has, I'm better now. I'm good now.
Basketball coaches, man.
I don't say.
Or something.
Well, you got it. You have to be. You got to have some, And
with all the inside experience, this is a distraction. Why get distracted?
Yes,
you got a life to live. Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I don't need that comment. I'm just not going to read them. So I just choose to just
it's
not.
healthy.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter specifically to support, like, I want to see the players, like, different things on the Allen basketball page. And I'm actually, like, Mrs. Coach O, like, because of that. Like, that's what I do on Twitter. Outside of that, every once in a while, I'll read an Allen Eagle Nation on Facebook. I haven't done that in a while, though, because the last one I saw made me want to talk. And so I just, I remove myself from that situation because, like, same thing, John, just like Brandi, you know, and before he coached before he was a high school coach. And I was probably more liberal with my comments, but like once he started doing that, I had to like
dial it back.
And for the most part, I've gotten better. I mean, sometimes y'all have to be like, you know, whatever. But that's if I'm not doing the books. But I try to remove
your buffer.
Well, sometimes y'all make me happy because y'all are saying what I'm thinking, and it's not me. But no, I try to remove myself from any type of scenario because number one, I don't want to in the moment embarrass my husband, and in the moment I won't care because I'm in my mind I'm defending, but after the fact, you know, I don't want that. And number two, I don't want to portray him or the actual program in a bad light, so I try to keep myself.
We've had to comment on some Allen Eagle Nation stuff.
There's been some.
Yeah, and I think it's much worse for football than it is basketball.
It was actually a football comment.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a basketball comment.
It's amazing how
uninformed.
Yeah. And I think that's part of why and it's been years since I've even kind of been, I just don't, it's a boundary. You just have to set boundaries and like what you're pouring in, and even like both my kids too. Of course, Hayden, he's a little older, understands it differently because he's, you know, just had longer in it. Julia's in the throes of it in high school with the social media, and I think it is a little different for her, his experience in high school and hers, because he was on the team and he was in it, and it's just a little different when you're on the field and whatnot, but she's experiencing it in a completely different way. I was thinking today, like Hayden was starting in the second grade, I think is when Lee allowed him to be a ball boy, you know? So Hayden hasn't been in the stands since then, like at all, where she has grown up in that. And so she's experienced the comments very differently. And then now, of course, social media, from students, you know, so she has a few things that, you know, and she knows, but it's just, you know, that's her dad. So takes it very personally. And of course she's very competitive. So, we have to talk a lot about just uninformed people, you know, and of course, as we all know, people are a lot more brave online or in a comment than they would say it to your face.
Gives every idiot a voice.
Yeah,
it's right. So that's going to be always. So you just have to kind of learn how to block it out, because it is just negative energy. I don't need any more of what I've got enough to worry about. I don't need any more things to add to my narrative that I already have going on in my head.
Well, and it's amazing as human beings how we let people that don't know us, that we don't know, affect us by something they say.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, why? Why do we do that?
Which is why it's a great boundary. It's an excellent boundary. Wish people would employ that more, you know?
And I wasn't always that way. I mean, I'm not going to say, you know, especially early on when I was thinking about that when Facebook really became a thing, and then, you know, then Twitter was really hot, and then Instagram, you know, whatever. And I do like to read. That's the thing, is I love it when the kids get highlighted or they're up for some sort of, you know, go vote for whatever player of the week. You know, I do love that. So I try to stick to, you know, healthy news outlets that are going to promote the good things that are happening it's all about student athletes. That's why we're here. We are here for the kids. We are not here for our own personal gain. And so when it's a positive like that, I do like, you know, following those kinds of things. But if it's a page that someone has created as a fan page, no, I don't even try to join that.
It's kind of funny. They're fans.
Yeah. and some pages, and that's like with the school district also, or anything else. I mean, it's not just with the sport. You're going to see people comment negatively. And so it's just a matter of don't go down that rabbit hole. It's not going to bode well for anyone.
Yeah, we talked about the chat board where we all met earlier, and it's amazing
I imagine
some of the opinions people have, and you just go, were we at the same game?
Right.
It's how are you getting that out of that? And it's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess all perspective. Is there a difference between a win and a loss in your household?
For sure.
Well, 31 and 32 and 5, whatever they are, you haven't had a whole lot of losses to talk about.
No, but we know when we have one.
Yeah.
I mean, and my husband is never in a bad mood. Like, he always finds the positive in everything. But you can just sense it on him. He's just, what could we have done different? What could So there's a difference, when he comes to the door.
I think we answered that.
So as years,
because when John, the thing about John, let's say John's games are earlier, and then he comes in and assists with the varsity, so he doesn't really get a whole lot of time.
Sometimes none.
Yeah. And so
sometimes he's literally showing up late. To varsity because he was having his post game speech with his kids. So I think that he's invested in all the kids. So both matter. I think the losses over the years for the freshmen, it's less about the loss and more about if they've learned. He's actually have said these words to me. They could be winning by 50, but they're not hearing what he has to say. He's not going to be happy. So from that perspective, I think it's a little different than it used to be. But once they've, grown and gotten to the varsity level, he's an assistant coach, but he's just as invested, as to where he's thinking about like what could have been done different, like how can we improve, things of that nature as well. But yeah, if things did not go well, it's definitely different in my house. Earlier on, I would say, can I stay at my mother-in-law's? My house is too far away. I'm not going to drive that late. Back in the day, I wasn't. I mean, I'm joking, but I really was not joking. I mean, I was still going to support him and be at home, but at the same time, I'm like. But the more and more he's progressing different things, and I think that it's less of a bad mood and kind of what you said. It's more so he's gonna bring the positivity home, but at the same time he's gonna think about it. He's gonna dwell. I'm more of the dweller in the family, but when it comes to that, he becomes the dweller.
Well,
so,
it's his job too.
And like I said before, like he's passionate, and so when he feels as though something's not getting through, whether it's one specific player or the group or freshman, JV, whomever, if it's not getting through and they're doing what he's thinking, like, what can we do? So I just try to support him best I can with a smile on my face. I try.
How about you, Becky?
But then I start going off.
I can tell the difference for sure. But as I mentioned before, he's really quiet at home, both wins and losses, because he is very so laser focused on, and that's, like I said, at home as well. Like, I think probably what I notice is when it was a loss that, I mean, there are just games that you just get beat. I mean, you just get beat.
They were the better team.
Hello.
Always. Right. You know what I mean? You just get beat. And not that that's a comfortable loss, but it's also, he also admires teams that, like, man, they're really good. Like, that's what a great program, whoever, you know. But I think it's when, we were competitive in it and we had the chance, and then there were, circumstances that didn't go our way.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a level of frustration, but he's already quiet at home and he gets even quieter. Mm-hmm. Like then it's just like there's not even, you can definitely tell. But just like in any sport, I mean, especially basketball, when you have multiple games in 1 week, you've got to prepare for the next.
Yeah.
And so then he's got to take, what was it that happened on the field, and what adjustments do we need to make because of it? Yeah. Because already you're looking at next week and your opponent, and you've got to move on. So there's not a lot of time to sit in the loss, truly.
Yeah.
But there's a difference. I feel like there's a difference, especially depending on, was it a pivotal game? Is it, of course, a playoff? That can be devastating. Sure. When you lose in a round where you're like, no, we should have gone,
right.
That's happened to us where we should have gone past this team and you don't. And God, those are hard. And then the days after, I think that's probably when I noticed it the most. It's when it's a playoff game and you're done.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. And he's home the next morning, and
the finality.
That's definitely when the season ends.
We hate
that's a whole different.
That's a tough transition.
There's definitely a truly like a mourning period.
Yeah.
And just it's kind of a weird, like the whole household even too. I mean, we're all just like. I mean, there were times. There was one year in particular. We lost and we shouldn't have, and it was truly a call. And Lee's not really one to blame games on refs. He doesn't do that. Like even if a ref makes a bad call, he's like, they're human, and he always, you can see him talking to the ref about the situation of what's going on. But there was a playoff. There really was, and it even made some news about the call that was made that shouldn't have been, that changed the game. It was a touchdown that wasn't a touchdown. And I mean, none of us could get over it. I mean, I was crying. It was Sunday morning. I find myself still like I'm crying about it, drinking my coffee. And then, Monday people at work, and you're just like, we were just devastated, truly, just like we should still be playing. And so that's where you feel it really big when it was just like that kind of a loss versus like, they were a better team and we got beat, because that happens.
That does happen.
I mean, it does. And they're, and no matter, what we could have done differently, they were just a better team. So, but end of season's probably, I think we feel it the most.
Yeah. Well, we've got a big one this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tuesday night, Plano East and Allen, a repeat from the first game of the year.
Yeah.
Caldwell Center.
David and I were at that first game. Mm-hmm. Allen led 3.5 quarters. Mm-hmm. And the last 3 or 4 minutes of that game ended up losing by 10. Mm-hmm. But a lot has changed now.
Yeah.
Plano East hadn't lost, for one thing. That hadn't changed.
That hasn't, yeah.
And I think Allen's grown. So this is going to be a big one. And I know you're probably already thinking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Stomach's
already nervous.
Already nervous.
But
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think there's a great opportunity for the team here. They've been playing well, and we'll see what happens.
I know.
We're excited for you.
Y'all got anything? Y'all good?
No, it's been great. You ladies have been awesome.
Really appreciate it.
We want to thank you again for coming. Yeah. This has been very enlightening. I can't wait to see the reaction everybody has to this. And you're welcome to come back anytime. We had the superintendent and the school board president here for our 100th podcast, along with a bunch of other guys, men.
People.
But y'all are the first all-female podcast that we've had, so we appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
Willing to share your story.
It's such an under-talked-about perspective.
And y'all deserve a lot of credit for what you deal with on a daily basis, and we applaud you for that.
We appreciate you.
And we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We want you to stay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Enough of the transition.
Yeah,
you're
more
getting too old for that.
I know. I really am. I was like, this last move, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I think I've met my limit. I'm done.
Yeah. There you go. If you say you're done, he's done. So there you go.
If you will put in a little plug that I need my kitchen remodeled to him.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I'll call him when we're done.
Just tell him, if you really want to make her happy,
Yeah.
you really want to feel settled.
The next anniversary present, brother. Here it is.
You don't want his anniversary present?
You just want it done.
I just need it done.
She doesn't want you to wait till
I've got a great guy who just did my bathroom.
See? Perfect. Even better.
He's good. So.
Reasonable price and good job.
You bet.
Even better. I told him yesterday, I'm about to get the sledgehammer out. And he's like, stop. I'm serious.
Oops, it was an accident.
See, now we have to have someone come fix it.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank y'all for this.
Oh,
yes.
and y'all are welcome anytime. You know where it's at?
Yeah.
Make yourself up. We do it every Saturday morning, obviously, on football season. Mm-hmm. You can come sit in when we do the coaches next year. See how that goes. So, Clark, I want to come too. See what he says. See how many Red Bulls you're drinking while I'm not watching.
I know. Your next one should be couples.
Okay.
That would be a good
yes,
one.
you should totally do that.
Let's do this. Let's
we
get
should be a
basketball
couple,
over with.
of course.
We still got several weeks.
Yes.
April. And then we'll do that.
We should do a couples. That'd be funny.
That would be.
What a great idea.
We'll see how they answer when we're sitting here.
We could
do like the
newlywed.
Those are fun.
That would be fun.
Are y'all big sports trivia nerds?
I'm not as much. No.
Because I got this ESPN trivia.
I would lose that.
John would. That would not be fun with John here.
We did that with the coaches, with John and Clark and Manning was here. We did it. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
No, I think we do a newlywed style.
We could do like newlywed style. They do this at the Touchdown Club when we have their opening. Huddles and Heels or whatever that event is, and they've done that. That was pretty fun.
We can start working on that now.
Yeah. Anyway.
We appreciate it. Again, we do appreciate it. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Tuesday, the Colwell Center,
7 o'clock at the Colwell Center.
It's in Garland.
Be there.
7 or 7:30.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Not 7:30. David showed up at 6 last night.
Yeah,
I thought it was at 7.
Yeah.
Well, you were early.
My sister-in-law said 7 or 7:30. I guess there was some confusion.
The ticket said 7.
Oh, is that what it was?
And not to hype things up even more, but this is the epic game. This is the state championship.
Well, there's still a lot of basketball to play, but
there's a lot of basketball.
You got to win this one to get to the next one. So.
And it's so big, and it's in a big venue. There's going to be a lot of other third-party people.
That's right.
A lot of media.
Come see the guys. They're really a fun team
for
to
the
watch.
kids too. That's always exciting when it's that they get to experience that. It's fun.
Yeah, a lot of smaller town kids don't get to experience kind of the
If you get a chance on Twitter. The second play of the game, or the second bucket of the game last night was a steal by DJ, and he dunked it. And there's a video on Twitter. He goes up to dunk it, and Trent jumps with him because he's so excited for it. And they both come down at the same time. It was really cool.
I know we're getting off, and I know you can say this about your kids too, but I just want to say this. Those basketball kids are great kids, and I know you can say that about your football kids. Just saying that about Trent jumping They are great kids.
Yeah,
they really are.
They are fun to watch.
They are,
and they're putting on a show. So
great.
Tuesday night at Colwell. So until next time, folks, it's over, and we are out.